John Razimus here. I feel like I'm in the Sahara Desert right now. Does that not look like the Sahara freaking desert? That looks like the old Sahara Desert. I don't know if the camera is a little bit foggy. I didn't mean for that effect. John Razimus here. Driving home through what looks like the Sahara Desert after ghost investigating the grist mill for the 5th time at night. I did a day investigation, so technically the 6th investigation for ghosts, of spirits, for spirits of the paranormal investigation type. 6 separate occasions, 6 separate days, 5 or nights. 5 of them separated by many months. So I believe it's the 19th of August, 2019. And Brandon Young went out with me to the grist mill, the old grist mill. And Brandon was able to see firsthand that you put static meters in the window, and the spirit most definitely does set them off. The spirit set off the left device very slowly on one end of the light and very slowly on the other end of the light, and then nothing for a great period of time. Many minutes. And then I touched the middle device. What happened was I actually turned off the left device, the one that was already set off. Process of elimination to encourage the spirit to set off the other devices, and it didn't work. Nothing happened. So I'm about to. I think I turned off the right device just to give it one focal point, to focus all of its energy. And we walked around the grist mill. No spikes on the millimeter, although there have been spikes on previous investigations of 2 point something, 3 point something. Definitely milligauss of a spirit nature, consistent with previous investigations in different areas. 2 point something, 3.7, pretty common with spirits. You could say it's common putting it remotely close to an outlet, but there's no power at this 1830s structure. A very important fact, no power. So there's just a central unit. I pick it up, I put it down. Actually, I show Brandon it actually works. I show Brandon, I rub my hand against my jacket. I rub my jacket against my jacket, trying to build up a static electricity charge to show that the device does work, it's not broken. And it took some time, but my hand gathered static electricity pretty easy. Static electricity emits from the human body. Pretty easy to build it up. So I showed that there it is, the rainbow LED effect on this static meter. That's how it works. Static electricity is detected, the LEDs go off, but they go off in an order. Certain color on the left side, certain color on the right side, certain color in the middle. I believe it's red, yellow, green. And after I touch it and show Brandon that it works, I walk away a good 10 feet. Brandon's a good 10 feet. And bam, the spirit sets off the device. And I think I touched it again, walked away, waited 5 minutes, bam, it happened again. Brandon touched it, walked away, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, bam, the spirit set it off again. So I didn't know this until last night, but the spirit requires the human to give it some static charge before it walks away. And a skeptic will say, well, that's just residual energy, residual static electricity that you put on the device, and of course it's going to make it blink and go off. But it consistently goes off in a very slow red, red, yellow, yellow, green, green. That slow. As slow as I said those colors. Every single time it went off that slow. Proving and showing it's intelligently controlled. The next time I go back, I'm going to, now that I know you have to touch it to give it some static charge. We asked it dozens of questions while we didn't know you have to touch it to give it some static charge. And it didn't have the opportunity to respond because apparently at the 1830 structure, there's no power, and it literally needs some power source to even use the device. It's that dead of a dead zone concerning power. We didn't bring our cell phones, no smart watches, and it was a very successful investigation. Me and Brandon were able to repeat the spirit setting off the device by touching it, walking away 10 feet, waiting, and it wasn't the same period of time waiting, although I will do the math and figure out, look at the timestamps to see the exact amount of seconds it did go off. I'm going to compare back to back when it went off to see when it intelligently went off. Was it in the exact precise red, red, yellow, yellow, green, green? Was it in the exact precise order? What I mean is, did it take 5 seconds to do all the colors? Did it take 4 seconds? Did it take 3 seconds? Is it exactly 3.5 seconds every single time? I'm going to match up all the video from previous investigations from last night's investigation. I'm going to match up everything to really see the science behind the unknown, unseen, occult sciences, if you will. Scientists could come here to the grist mill. It's not here, it's back there, but they could go. They're not interested, but if any scientists are interested, feel free to take me up on the offer. Brandon wanted to go for many months. I'd say probably ever since I showed the first footage of it almost a year ago. And we didn't have synchronizing schedules until now. I had to drive a good distance. Brandon was a good sport. He participated. He was respectful of the spirit. When we went there, we say we come in peace, we will leave in peace. There's definitely a spiritual vibe, a spiritual setting. I want Brandon to give his perspective and his take on just a reaction, a reflection on what he experienced. What I experienced was the spirit setting off the device 6, 7 plus times. Whereas it's always only set it off once because it only had the beginning charge to do it once. Now, to prove it is a spirit and not just a random static charge floating around because I touched it or Brandon touched it, next time I go back, I'm going to tape A, B, and C on these 3 devices, and I'm going to bring maybe 3 other devices. But the ABC test, I'm going to put the same 3 static meters, A, B, and C. I'm going to touch them, ask the spirit politely, can you please set these off, make your presence known. If there's enough static charge on there for it to manipulate, it always goes in order. The left device, the middle device, the right device. I can switch the ABC to be DB, A, or what are we talking about? A, B, C. I could have it C, B. There's no D. I can add a D. What I'm saying is I'm going to mix up the order, ask the Spirit to set it off. The Spirit always sets the devices off, from what I've perceived, left to right every single time. Some type of electronics wizard could program these devices to go off left to right, but mixing them up, ABC, CAB, BCA, for example, I'll ask the Spirit to set it off. It'll always be in order, not in order of ABC, but in order of left to right. All 3 devices left to right. Me and Brandon didn't see that because I didn't think of that experiment until driving home. But you have to trial and error, experiment with many different things. You're not always going to have that eureka moment on night 1 of investigation 1. You might think of it 6 months down the road. There's a device called an EM pump that I've always been hesitant about even considering buying, which pumps electromagnetic energy into the atmosphere, into the air, into the area, to allow the Spirit to use it to manifest. And I've always felt that would simply contaminate the area. Just give the area a bunch of static electricity, perhaps, a bunch of EMF fields that your devices will definitely detect, but since you're the one pumping it into the area, it's artificial, and there's no way for you to know if it's intelligent or not unless it does something intelligent, like picks up a rock and throws it. There were no rocks thrown last night, but I have heard the Spirit throw rocks at the grist mill twice, on 2 separate occasions. And you can't always command and demand. You can't ever command and demand it to throw something. It would have been nice, but the Spirit didn't have much energy to do anything until we touched it. So when I set up all 3 devices, it set off the left device. It always starts with the left device. Set off 2 separate LEDs very slowly on the left device. I think it was red and then green, or orange and then green. Very slowly, carefully, calculatedly, delicately. And then perhaps there wasn't much charge left on the middle device and the right device by the time it decided to. Now you gotta understand, we made it clear, we're going to set up all the cameras, turn on all the cameras. We thank you for your patience. And so the Spirit was very patient. It waited a great period of time for us to set up. I would like to do more experiments at the grist mill. It's not a particularly super haunted location in the fact that I believe it's one Spirit that is pretty shy in the context that it doesn't seem to have any threatening tone or anything. No threatening vibe. Very spiritual from the perspective of neutral, kind of dreamlike state vibe. Kind of a chill vibe. Brandon can give his perspective on what he felt. I did feel cold air go around my left hand and kind of go around my head and maybe upper body for a few seconds, to the point where it was more than a gust of air, a gust of wind, and there was no wind that I remember ever seeing or feeling other than that. And it was right after I stuck my hand as much as I could inside the wooden bars of the window, and I tried to film inside, and I did film inside. You will see the footage of me filming inside. I wanted to try to capture something inside. It's a very dark structure in the middle of the night. We got there like at 1 a.m. We investigated, I don't know, I think to 2 a.m., maybe to 2:30, maybe to 3. I really lost track of time, because when the devices were continually, or the same device, but 2 separate devices were set off that last night. But when the main larger device with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 LEDs went off over and over and over. On an intelligent level, we're talking red, red, yellow, yellow, green, green. That's slow. Very intelligent. I just feel it was very successful, and I learned a lot, and hopefully we can go back, try the ABC experiment, try other experiments. I am willing to perhaps get an EM pump, knowing that it could potentially contaminate the area. But with an area from the 1830s with no power, the closest power lines are, Brandon said, a quarter mile away, or maybe half a mile away, but I would say it's even farther than that. I would say, I don't know, to be honest, maybe it's half a mile. I'm not really good on exact specifics. I could measure, I'm not too interested in measuring, just eyeballing it, maybe half a mile away, maybe a quarter mile away, maybe somewhere in between half a mile and a quarter mile. Thank you for watching. This is John Razimus. Be seeing you.